Hi, good night, everyone. Ayana here, the Conflict Guru 868, and welcome to season two of my Woman in Business series. Tonight, joining me is Miss Jessica Pips. But before we get into Jessica and all the amazing things that she does, this is day one of the Woman in Business season two, and it's similar to season one. We will be having nine incredible women joining us on the series discussing their journey in business, how businesses, how things have been going with them and business, and of course whatever conflicts that they have incurred while well, of course, being a business person. For those of you who are familiar with the Conflict Guru brand, you will know my thing is focusing on conflict resolution, sorry, both internal and external, looking at the conflict within you, especially in times of COVID and stuff like that. I realized a lot of persons were faced with questions. What do I do now? Who am I? Where am I going to go next? So I thought, the Conflict Guru and of course, the Woman in Business will help some insight into that, especially bounded to single moms as myself. So the Woman in Business series, but gentlemen, have no fear. We also have a business guide that we do once a month, so look out for that. So Jessica is here. Jessica is the founder of Better Your Living LLC and provides corporate and personal health education and coaching. Right, the company focuses on basically overcoming cultural, Jessica, ancestral, right, and circumstantial limiting beliefs that ones may have and help them to overcome it. So, Jessica, would you like to share a bit more about yourself? Let's jump right into it.
Okay, so I'm Jessica Phipps, and I am by profession a social worker. I've been a social worker for over 25 years, MSW, Masters in Social Work. And in the last 5 years, I did a second master's in wellness and lifestyle management. As a social worker, I always practiced throughout my career. I practiced in healthcare only, hospital work, outpatient dialysis, inpatient psychiatry, and particularly in dialysis for the last 18 years. That brought me to a point where I saw that much of the experience of people becoming ill and getting on dialysis, which is a life-sustaining treatment, and I can get into that a little bit later, what it is because of lifestyle reasons. It's for lifestyle reasons. The two major illnesses that cause kidney failure, this is the reason people go on dialysis. Dialysis is an artificial kidney process that cleans the blood, is because people are either diabetic or hypertensive. And those are two non-communicable diseases, and they are lifestyle illnesses in many cases. I mean, yes, we do have type 1 diabetes that is genetic, but most of the diabetics, 90% of them are actually type 2 diabetics.
Okay.
So diabetes is in fact a lifestyle illness, hypertension a lifestyle illness. There are other people who, due to drugs, HIV, lupus, medication use, steroid use due to other, illnesses, would have also had kidney failure. And with that, I realized that, there is something more to helping people. The physicians, you go to a doctor, they assess you, they give you medication.
Right.
You may see a dietitian and they would tell you this is what you need to avoid or limit given your illness. However, there was a need for others or somebody to fill that space where the person learns to identify, to get education about their illness, which usually people have to seek out independently, as well as to know how to self-manage the illness. So you have the education, you have the knowledge, but how do you take that knowledge from knowing to actually doing, bringing it something practical in your life, to change your habits into this new lifestyle practice that builds a new normal where you may have to change your diet or change your routine. And that is basically what health coaches do. They work with someone to help them using, evidence-based models to help them to change their behavior, adjust their behavior appropriately, given who they are. Okay, so you look at the person, you assess, their whole psychosocial circumstances in terms of, employment, socioeconomics, educational level, how much are they able to understand the economics of what they're able to afford, their likes and dislikes when it comes to food. And you use that information in order to now look at this chronic illness that they may have, or maybe in the process of developing, and use that information to help them to create a new lifestyle in order to maintain their health and thrive. Help them create a new normal for themselves. So
Okay.
that is basically what we do as a health coach.
Right. So basically, you got into my second question. What is health coaching? So you covered that. Now, listening to you and you're speaking about the socio-economic aspects, the demographics, and stuff like that. And just recently, I was having a conversation with a friend of mine, and we were speaking about these lifestyle illnesses and how high it is in the Caribbean. And I think a doctor had mentioned that it's really tied into our diet because it's Lenten season now, and as a Roman Catholic, I'm fasting off of meat.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And we were saying, what if you could eat meat during the weekends? Because, long ago, meat during the week was not a big thing, it was on the weekends. But then again, you will have a slab of bread and then this butter, and you will slap it on with all this cheese and then all these different things. And we like our pigtail, we like our coconut milk, all these
Mm-hmm.
different things, and now we have the hypertension, the diabetes, everything, and it's tied directly to our diet.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so for us in the Caribbean, I mean, right now Jessica is actually based in the US, guys, but she also operates in Trinidad as well. So, like, having said that and discuss about our diet and stuff like that, what would you, or how would you coach us, and even me, how would you coach me as regards to my diet? Because, I mean, I remember a time I went to a dietitian and she told me, basically, after I told her everything that I love and want to eat, and she said, Ayana, once it is you like it, it's not good for you. And I was like, Lisa, how am I going to survive? What am I going to do? So,
Right.
personally, like my mindset, what advice would you have to give us? Like, like we're thinking, oh my gosh, if it is we have to manage this, our weight, our diabetes, hypertension, or whatever, we just can't eat anything we like anymore. So, what would you tell someone in that situation?
Okay, so first of all, let me just peel back a little bit. So while
Uh-huh.
I practiced in the United States, because I lived there, I left Trinidad when I was 17 years old. I
Oh,
went to St. Xavier's Preparatory School in St. Joseph Convent, St. Joseph. I did all A levels, and then I came
mhm.
away to Rutgers University. So I am Trinidadian, and I can identify, and I come back home very often. Only that COVID would not allow right now.
I know, right?
So I totally understand. So I'm homegrown, so I can
Mhm.
identify with everything. So, yes, we do have the diabetes and the hypertension. And part of it is not always denying yourself. So, we have to look at the fact that there are two things. There are things that are healthy for us, but and there are things that are unhealthy. But with everything, we have to have it in proper portions. We have to know what is a serving. And if
Mhm.
you look at, you would go to a restaurant and you'd say, they take my money, look at the little bit of food I get. But
Mhm.
they are actually giving you the correct portions of starch, protein, and everything else that you're supposed to have. And
Right.
that is not the portion of rice, macaroni pie, or anything we are going to put on our plate if we are serving ourselves, right? Or your
Right.
mother will give you, or your grandmother will
Mhm.
give you, right?
Mhm.
So we have to look at portion control. And in terms of even the things that you like, again, it's portion. It's about limiting it, limiting it. And even with some of them, we tended to also make things rich, so to speak.
Oh,
So looking at,
guilty.
right. So looking at using, instead of the butter, using a margarine,
Mhm.
plant-based, so it doesn't have as much cholesterol in it. So
Mhm.
there is always in everything the healthy alternative. And
Okay.
that is what, when I work with patients, with people who are diabetic, people who are hypertensive, kidney disease patients, it's about what do you replace? How do you make the same dish,
Mhm.
but let's say you're making macaroni pie. How do we make a healthier macaroni pie? Okay. So I've never been able to figure out, because even here in the States, I buy Trinidad cheese to make
Right.
macaroni pie, but I've never been able to figure out what cheese that is. Okay. However, you would know that you can go, and if you're buying a chunk of cheese to do it, doesn't taste the same. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to go for low sodium cheese. Okay. So there are some cheeses like Swiss cheese or provolone cheese that are naturally low sodium.
Mhm.
Then also you are able to purchase on request um, a cheddar cheese that would be low sodium. So it's the regular cheddar and the low sodium cheddar. Okay. So that is the first round of enjoying that recipe that you like, but modifying the ingredients, as well as as well as also using plant-based cheeses. Not as exciting. They come with the taste also, if that is a choice.
I
You
have
know?
not seen that in Massy or any of our supermarkets.
Hmm. Yes.
I guess it may be hiding from me somewhere.
Right. So there is, I suppose, in that vegan section, not vegetarian mainly, but there is that
Mhm,
vegan section where there's a plant-based, the cheeses,
mhm.
the yogurt, the cream cheese, all of that if you could find it. But the alternative to that is looking at using the lower fat as well as lower sodium products in order to create our recipes.
Okay.
And again, practicing portion control with all of that.
Well, we actually have a question for you from one of our viewers,
Mhm.
and it's in a question for Jessica. How has she changed her diet? Seeing that you're homegrown, right?
Yes.
When you moved, you relocated to the US, how did you change your diet um, prior to like living in Trinidad, growing up, and then moving over to the US and becoming away and all the different things and whatever? How have you changed your diet?
Okay, so I will say honestly, I have not changed my diet much. And when you look at it, even though you would think that hypertension and diabetes is rampant in Trinidad, and we are talking about it from the level of food, there's also the other
Mhm.
aspect of stress that causes raises in cortisol that again leads to hypertension and diabetes. But we're looking at it from the food, that section of lifestyle. So, my mother, she always cooked a starch, a meat, a vegetable. And I
Mhm.
stuck to that, you know what I mean? So it's
Yeah.
rice, string beans, bodi, and the stewed chicken. But now I may not stew the chicken. A lot of times I don't. I would bake or grill the chicken, right? So we don't have that oil base. Again, looking at alternatives methods of preparation also, in addition to changing the ingredients that you would use. So I didn't change much. I live in New Jersey, which is on the East Coast. So I had access to many of the West Indian stores with our products. I'm not in, the Midwest or something like that where we don't have West Indian people. So I didn't have to change much. And I would also think that I did eat pretty healthy in Trinidad.
Okay.
Um, I would again, with the fat, not using like the lard or anything like that anymore, the cooking, using the margarine instead of the butter, you
Mhm.
know. Um, what else? Using the vegetable oil, the canola oil,
Mhm.
and like with the pigtail and stuff. Yes, you do. We still want to make those dishes that we enjoy, but you're not going to make them as often or use that much.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay, I understand. I mean, for me, I have moved away. I think for the past 5 or 6 years, I use only coconut oil now. I no longer
Hmm.
use other types of oil. I am sorry, but I cannot give up my cheese and
Hmm.
different types of cheeses. I am so sorry. And in butter, I need my butter when I'm baking. I
Hmm.
actually don't use margarine, I use butter. But
Butter,
I'm
yes.
working on it. Little steps, bit
Hmm.
by bit. So we got an understanding of basically your journey to your practice, what it is that you focus on in your practice and stuff like that. Um, when we talk about quality of life, and it's a phrase you've been hearing quite often now, especially with the onset of COVID, about the
Hmm.
quality of life, you need to pay attention to it and stuff like that. So let's have a bit of a discussion on quality of life. What does it really mean, especially for us as women in business?
So, as women in business and just being alive in general, quality of life encompasses a variety of things, but some of the basics, you're looking at your physical health.
Right.
And your physical health, in terms of quality of life, is determined by exercise
Mm-hmm.
and by diet. Those are the two main things. And
Right.
if you do have a chronic illness,
Mm-hmm.
on your medication or whatever special regime that you have to adhere to,
Okay.
maintenance of that. Okay, in terms of physical health.
Right.
Spiritual health, also important. So,
Mm.
whether it's religion or basic spirituality, where you practice your religion or you meditate or you say affirmations or you do motivational quotes, we do need to feed our spirit. That is also very important because that brings us faith and the hope and practice of gratitude and things like that. Important to our psyche, our mental health, our mental and emotional health, tied again to our spirituality. So that's another aspect of quality of life.
Mm-hmm.
Finances.
Mm.
So, management of your finances, in many cases, people don't realize how important your finances is to your quality of life, not only with getting the things of the world that you want,
Mm-hmm.
but also in many cases, as women, in terms of survival, paying your bills, stress surrounding that. And again, I was a single mother. I
Mm-hmm.
got divorced many, many years ago, and I have two sons. So, looking at our financial health and how we manage that, looking at our spending habits and our saving habits also
Right.
impacts our quality of life. We also look at our environment, how we keep our environment. Okay. So, in your physical environment, very important to be in a healthy physical environment in terms of how you lay your house out, okay, the colors you use. There's a
Mm.
psychology of color that you're familiar
Yes.
with, right? Cleanliness,
Mm-hmm.
because again, things breed illnesses, you
Mm-hmm.
know, um, the quality of the water that we use. People tend not to think about that, but water quality is really, really important. And all that comes with our housing. Some of these things, according to our socioeconomics, we are thrown into them and can't rise out of them because of
Right.
circumstances. But,
Mm-hmm.
looking at the quality of housing, in many cases, let's take, for instance, someone living in an older house with lead. And I'm just going to go off a little bit on that because lead is very impactful to our quality of life. So
Okay.
come 1976, yes, 1976, they were supposed to stop, at least in the US, producing paint with
Paint.
lead.
Yes.
And I'm unsure as to how much the lead has taken over as a social justice topic in Trinidad, but it's big
Mm-hmm.
here. There were lead in the pipes and in the paint in the homes. So a lot of children, in fact, in the United States, you have to test children up to the age of 6 for lead. Okay? It's mandatory. You have to know the lead count. Okay? And in many cases, people don't realize that lead stays in the system and can pass from mother to child. And lead is a nephrotoxin, kills the kidneys, causes hypertension, and an endocrine disruptor. So some of the base of the diabetes is actually lead poisoning when people have lived multi generations in the same home, believe it or not.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So sometimes, we're looking at, and I'm speaking from the perspective, being in America, you look at the African American population, same,
Mm-hmm.
the descendant, people of African descent that we have in Trinidad. And,
Mm-hmm.
they tend to say, your lifestyle, something is wrong with your lifestyle. And that is why all of this is happening because you're not eating well. But then there
Right.
are people who could document that they're eating well. And it's actually the lead in the home, the lead in the pipes from the water, in the
Mm-hmm.
paint in the house, and all of that kind of thing. That is, in fact, impacting the children and impacting adults because they've lived in the same environment. So all of that, looking at your physical environment is important. Um, Also, we did spirituality. Yeah, so those
Mm-hmm.
basically are the things that encompass quality of life. Your
Okay.
physical health, your mental health, your spirituality, your environment.
Okay. So these are basically pillars will encompass someone actually ensuring that they have a particular quality of life. I'm known that there's a mindset out there when you say quality of life, it's to talk about taking me time for myself, meditating, and look at one aspect of it. But what you've discussed there, you actually pulled in different aspect of it: the physical, the spiritual, right, mental, environment, and it's really important because we will be thinking, okay, I get up every morning and I meditate for my 10 minutes, I'm all zen. But then you walk out of your bedroom door and you walk into chaos. You can't
Mm-hmm.
find anything. You don't know where it is. And it's flustered and whatever the case may be. That will actually impact you,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I mean, I didn't even look at it that way. And I love the fact that you have identified all these variations or variants in it to ensure that you have a particular quality of life. Finances as well. If you have to be worrying about how your bills are going to be paid and stuff like that, that adds stress.
Mm-hmm.
And stress, we know stress kills. We
Right,
know.
right,
So I
right.
mean,
So,
I love that aspect.
right. So the stress, what it does is that's the belly fat. That's the
Mm-hmm.
stress. That's the cortisol, right? And because and because you have the belly fat and
Mm-hmm.
it's smothering your organs, there we go with the diabetes and the hyper. I mean, it's a longer story than that, but it's
Mm-hmm.
so much a part of what causes these lifestyle illnesses. And I know, people hear me saying, "Oh, the diabetes and the hypertension." It's because those are the two things that impact us the most.
Most, yes, it's true. It's true. What I wanted to know too as well, tying into those pillars that we talk about with the quality of life and stuff. Someone comes to you
Mhm.
and they are in a particular headspace, mindset, whatever the case may be. How would you help them gain that bigger picture of the overall health? Because, like I just said, not all the time will be taken into consideration all of these pillars.
Mhm.
So, how would you actually go about coaching them into a bigger picture of what their overall health is?
Okay. So someone comes to me, I have a conversation with them, and prior to that conversation, once they're willing to engage in service, I have an assessment, a very comprehensive assessment that we go through that asks them all about these quality of life issues and how they are handling them, if they have any of them. So I do an assessment. And then that way we look at where, hopefully, be able to peel back the onion to see where the issue is. In many cases, most of my clients are referred by physicians, referred by doctors, and they're referred for a particular reason. This person needs education and coaching because they're diabetic, because they're hypertensive, because they've had a new asthma diagnosis or some other diagnosis that's a chronic illness. So
Okay.
those people, it's very focused on, okay, so what do you need to do? This is the medication regime that you need to follow. I need to teach you about this illness. And in teaching about the illness, you not only tell them about the biological process of it basically, they need to know the basics of it, but what are the red flags for this illness? What tells you, oh my God, this, I need to call the doctor, or I need to go to the emergency department. Okay,
Right.
so we look at the red flags for the illness. We look at the medication management for the illness, knowing your medication, knowing the side effects of your medication, as well as what do you need to do to have this new regime, this new normal fit into your lifestyle? Okay, what do you need to do? What do you need to do differently? So an assessment is done, and then we would move on from there using small steps. It's a process because nobody can go from 0 to 100. So we take small steps whereby, okay, so this week when we meet, you're going to concentrate on being more hydrated and
Right.
filling your prescriptions on time. You know what I mean? If you have 30 days worth of the pills, you putting something on your phone as a reminder instead of running out every time. A week
Mhm.
before, you're putting something on your phone so that you're able to fill your prescriptions on time and have continuity with the things you need to do, getting to your physician's appointments and things like that. For somebody who just wants to remain healthy, they might go to the doctor and they may say, your BMI is high, so
Okay.
you need to, cut back on your weight, or you need to, begin to do things so that you don't go the chronic illness way. Again, the same assessment. However, we would then not be as focused as the person who actually comes with a chronic illness problem, but we would be looking at all your different lifestyle habits that we could then modify in order to bring you to your goal. And again, while I am the expert in behavior change, the
Uh-huh.
patient or the client is the expert in them on themselves. They know
Love that.
themselves. So while I am being the guide and the accountability partner, they are the ones choosing what they want to do and how they want to facilitate their change. And I'm guiding them along with that.
Okay.
Mhm.
One thing though that jumps out at me, I love the fact that you said that why you may be expert in your field, the patient, the client is the expert on themselves and how they can go about it. Because what you're doing, you're actually empowering them. It's not that I am giving up everything to you now because I am in this rut or whatever and I need to get out of it and you can help me. It's like we can work together to do that. And another reason why I asked you how do you go about assessing patients and helping them get the overall picture of their life is that it's hard for us to say we need help,
Mhm.
right? And especially when I say us, I mean everyone in general. Everyone. It's hard to say we need help sometimes. And for us specifically, single moms, when we're doing so much, we're wearing so many hats, it's hard for us to say we need help. So
Mhm.
when it is we go now and we actually open up and we say we actually say that we need this help, what is going to happen to our information? Is it going to remain confidential?
Of course, of course, of course. So there are confidential TLT laws that are international, not only
Right.
national, international. So if you go to my website, which is www.betteryourliving.com, you
Mhm.
would see that I do have um, an app and a web and a practice platform that
Mhm.
maintains confidentiality. Okay,
Okay.
so your information is secure.
Mhm.
In my practice, I link with physicians. So
Mhm.
I'm able to, once the patient or the client gives permission to go into their chart, as long as the physician has an electronic medical record or they're willing to scan the information to me, because I'm working collaboratively with the doctors.
Right.
And yes, so totally confidential, HIPAA laws, all the privacy, all of that has to be maintained. Yes,
Okay. Very
totally,
good.
totally secure. Yes.
And that actually helps encouraging persons to seek help, because we know that whatever is discussed there stays there and not all over the place, and then people know my business
Oh,
and you know how it is with us, right?
mhm.
But having said all of that, getting a bigger picture of your wellness and understanding what your quality of life is and how do you go about building a quality of life. What well I love to ask my guests, what golden nugget of information do you have to share to close off the show?
So my golden nugget is that we need to be accepting of help, and we
Mm-hmm.
need to understand that we cannot function independently and that we need to practice preventative medicine. We tend to, after we become sick, to out the fire, thinking that we don't need to do maintenance of ourselves. Once you get sick, you will go to the doctor. But
Mm-hmm.
it's not like that. Just the same way you have a car and you take good care of the car and you change the oil and you this and you that and the other and you clean it, those are all the same things we need to do for ourselves, for our family, and maintaining our lives.
All
Practicing
right.
good preventative health, a good understanding of quality of life, what it encompasses, and
Mm-hmm.
how do you look. Take some time to take care of yourself in terms of breaking down all those areas and saying, okay, what am I doing now? Where am I at? And what can I do differently in this area towards a goal? And a health coach or a life coach, it's a wonderful asset. And in many cases, I'm not sure, like in Trinidad, your job may pay for it. Jobs pay for health coaching and life coaching. And
I'm not aware of they covering it, but I think in we do have the employee assistance program. So if it can work into it, maybe it will actually apply in that case. Yeah.
right. So I'm not sure. So some employee assistance programs, they only go on the end of the mental health with the psych, not on the health coaching side of it.
Right.
So, but that person also will be able to help you with setting goals because they would
Mm-hmm.
be qualified to do behavior change.
Change.
Yeah. So important to utilize those services, utilize counseling, utilize mental health services, because once we do those things, we're able then to be confident enough to topple everything else.
Right. And that's excellent. I mean, ask for help, guys. When you ask for help, be open to change.
Mhm.
That is one most important that you find is not going along the way that you would like it. There are persons out there to help you and willing to help. Jessica, even though you're based in the US, I think you have an online platform that you can actually help persons even in Trinidad and the
Oh,
wider Caribbean,
oh yes, yes,
right?
yes. Worldwide, we have it's on. We do a Zoom telehealth. Basically, this is what COVID did to me. It had me transform my practice from a live practice, one-on-one, sitting down with someone, to a telehealth practice. So
Yes.
I'm accessible worldwide.
Right. And at the bottom of the screen, you're seeing Jessica's um, link to her website. So use it, access it, contact Jessica, and seek the help. Jessica, thank you so much for joining us tonight. It was fun. You were my first guest on season 2. Woohoo!
Thank
And
you.
we a great start thus far.
Mhm.
So thank you so much again. And guys, we will be doing Instagram live in a few minutes. So get on to Jessica and my pages, either one you want, and to look first while we do the live. So take care, Jessica, and I'll see you in a bit on Instagram. Bye
Thank
bye.
you. Bye bye.
Hi, guys. Great. So that was episode 1, season 2, Woman in Business, Conflict Guru. Thank you so much for joining us. Like I said, I'll be having 9 guests for the season. And then we will have a break and go on to season 3. More will come about season 3 as we get closer to that time. Coming up, the Configure 868 will be hosting an online training workshop entitled Resolving the Conflict Within. It's going to look at helping those who are faced with, again, questions. Where am I going? What am I going to do? Especially those who are focused on becoming an entrepreneur, owning their own business. So more information on that will be shared pretty soon on the page. And thank you so much for joining us tonight. Hope to see you guys again next week, same time at 6 p.m. We are now at 6 p.m., no longer at 7 p.m. Next week, see you, and look forward to talking to you guys. Take care. Bye-bye.